Hello again, working class warriors, to your December session of the Proletariat podcast. I want to first and foremost apologize for the unplanned hiatus. Once again, like most of you, I'm out there grinding away. I'm a gig economy worker at the moment, and just sort of the hassles of trying to make your ends meet. I've been caught up in that. As well as they decided to just completely repave our street. So with all of the equipment that was here, I was a little reluctant to try to record. Yeah, that would have been frustrating for everyone, I think. So I would like to announce that I do have the Discord server up for the Proletariat podcast. If you are a subscribing supporter on Patreon, you will find the link there and you can take part in QA sessions, recording sessions, live streams, things of that nature, and just be a part of a community of other like-minded people, people who are trying to make this country better for the American working class. I would also like to invite any of you newcomers to the Proletariat podcast to go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. You could also find the show on Anchor, Spotify, and once again, if you are generous enough and able to support, Patreon. So I just want to thank you in advance, and I want to go ahead and give a shout out to my Patreons, Maggie G. Thank you so much for supporting us for the past month or two here. And I do want to add that as part of the healthcare workers union, the strike that almost happened, within a couple of days of them pressing the button and the USW announcing that they were about to withhold their labor, the negotiations finally went into their favor. So congratulations to all the healthcare workers there in California. And I want to thank everyone whose efforts went out to support that. So anytime the working class gets a win, we will take those. All right, so I did miss you all for the Thanksgiving holiday, and I hope you all had a good one. I hope you all ate well, considering the state of the country right now, not to be Debbie Downer. But I do want to wish you all a happy and safe Christmas and New Year holiday as well. Just happy holidays overall. Um, we've had a second year of just straight craziness, so celebrate that you have survived this far, and especially if you were able to do it and keep your lights on and keep your rent going and keep your mortgage paid and all that good stuff. So take some time out to actually sort of let your hair down, take a deep breath, have some fun. You owe that to yourself. With all the hype regarding the new Matrix 4 movie coming out here, long awaited, I have to admit I've been pretty excited for it and waiting just as long as everyone else. It's been 17 years. It's an amazing story, and I can't wait to see what happens next. But in the spirit of red pills and blue pills, Republicans and Democrats, conservatives and liberals, what have you, I want to sort of move into a topic here. I've been a little reluctant to cover. I don't want to ever come across as as some sort of guru or having all the answers or anything like that. That is not my intention. The whole purpose of this show and the community behind it is to try to find solutions to improve working conditions for 99% of the citizens that live here. And what does that mean? Taking back all the power that we have passively relinquished over time to corporations, who have co-opted the government. So, excuse me. With that being said, there are ebbs and flows to capitalism. You can set your watch to it. And we happen to be in yet another one of those. And less than 10 years after the last one, right? 2008. This one, this whole gig economy sort of era of the global economy got, took its foothold. So yeah, things have been very interesting. I know over the past, 36 years of my life, I'm sure for the past 40 or 50 for those of you in the most maligned boomer generation, once again, as a millennial adult who did harbor some resentment towards that generation, partly due to a lot of media sensationalism. I get it. You know what? Once that whole Reagan administration took force, yeah, so many people were just really scrambling for survival. But that's the American way, right? Um, Scrambling for survival while a select few reap all the rewards. So we are talking about here breaking the programming. This is a new series, nothing special. I don't have anything like super planned out yet. Um, but I hope this will highlight some realities about the American economic system. And I hope it will incite you to think a little differently, and ways to support yourself, right? Once again, there's a really ironclad indoctrination that we are all put through starting through grade school. And, there's a script in the US to follow that leads towards your financial success slash freedom slash fame slash leisurely retirement, right? That American dream that's just so elusive. Um, now it's a nightmare, a Freddy Krueger induced perversion of everyone's ability to survive and just get the basic things in life. So enough of me rambling here. Once again, I am the Tangent King. This is your host, Dean Thaddeus Towers III. For all of those wondering, yes, that is a pseudonym. If you would like to know my real name, go ahead and join the Patreon community. No, I kid. Those are that name's usually going to be in the credits or somewhere. Um, so anyway, enough pussyfooting around here. So once again, we are talking about breaking the programming. Um, I don't know about you, but it seems to me no matter how many hours you work, no matter how many jobs you have, the current U.S. economic and labor system limits you from getting ahead. Like seriously, I mean, how many of you can relate to this? I was able to witness a rapid decline in the quality of the lives of working class citizens in this country back in 1997. Okay, I was in the seventh grade. We had just moved to a new area. Um, Overall, better education for me. I am thankful for that move, but looking at the reasons behind the move, yeah, it alerted me to, yeah, something's wrong here. Like something's not right. And for whatever reason, it scared me into conforming even more. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this too. And we'll get into this in a little bit here. But my mother of three, back until 1997, owned a house in Compton, California. Apparently, it was a house that was in the family for a couple of generations. They eventually started raising the property taxes, and we bailed. So my mom ended up moving to a suburb a little further out. It was, mostly upper middle class. Mostly Caucasian white area. and not too much of a black or brown presence there. There's a little bit, right? But like we were truly the minority in the high school. So, we made this downgrade from the 3 bedroom house, with a nice yard in the front and in the back, washroom, garage, shed, a nice dining room area, nice living room area. Like it wasn't a bad house, for a house in the hood, an old one. I digress here. But yeah, so we downgraded from this house to living in I think we went to a rent controlled apartment complex, which were more like maybe the lowest rung of condos you can possibly imagine. They were it was all one building in a like horseshoe, and each unit had an up and downstairs unit, and covered parking, place like that. Wasn't much else to it. Paved with asphalt, no play area, no grass, nothing like that, right? But yeah, the struggle started from there. So I separated from my mom during high school because she ended up moving back to Compton, and I was living with my older sister and my then brother-in-law. I'm doing my thing coming up as a teen, doing my internships, trying to get my first jobs and all that stuff, trying to pass high school, trying to decide what I'm doing with my life. But um, mom ended up renting low rent housing from that was owned by the church that we went to. And it's about $400 a month, and it wasn't maintenance very well, and I got to the point to where they basically had to tear down the property because it was just beyond repair. And to them, it wasn't worth keeping that affordable housing up for people in the community who have contributed to the profit of that church Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. I know I had to do it. I hated Sundays, and there was at one point I was a youth minister at that church, and I lived there. So yeah, they just felt that wasn't something to invest in any longer. But I noticed this rapid decline. I noticed how many years mom had to go and pick up supplementary income in the form of a part-time job here and there, and it wasn't just for Christmas to get those coveted consumers gifts. It became the norm, and eventually over time her health failed her, and she became a victim of trying to survive off of Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, all that good stuff, right? And eventually she died as a victim of the of our healthcare system, right? They neglected to locate some cancer or to act on some cancer that was located, and a rapid decline and ensuing death. So this has been the story for many Americans for the past 40 up to 50 years now, especially since the Reagan era. Like, this is the reality. I am certain that this sort of story here is not unique to me and my household. Many people have similar ones. Heck, I've seen my whole family go through this, from many households owning houses. I think I know of one household in my family right now who still owns their homes, and actually they own a second one and rent it out to various family members. But that's it. Everyone else, fell to the trickle down economic trap, where what they weren't telling you was that what was trickling down was all the operation costs of the corporations, right? And what happens when things trickle down, they eventually pool and become puddle, river, ocean, right? So this is the reality. This is the American dream, the American nightmare, right? Most of my family, as a kid, I remember so many people playing the lottery. Scratchers here, lucky numbers there. from my grandparents to uncles, aunties, even my mother. I even found myself doing it from time to time in my adulthood. You know, like how many of you have ever imagined some windfall that would fall into your lap? I know I have. And doing things like playing the lottery, which is just once again funding the state, right? Doesn't benefit you in any way, shape, or form. We know where all that money ends up going to military defense. That includes the local law enforcement, right? But in doing that and following this set path that we'll get to here in a second, we have just been passively giving away our working class power for the past 50 years here in the US. I know globalization has played a big part in that, but we didn't really do much to stand up against it, especially past the airline strike in the 80s where the government overreached their boundaries. I think you can go on YouTube, Reagan telling everyone that that the striking airline workers that their jobs were forfeit if they didn't clock in. What? I thought corporations and private businesses were against big government, right? No, big government came in and swooped in like a white knight and saved the day, save their behinds, scared us, right? Scared the working class. In the US, we have not seen a movement so large since then. And just the way, I mean, American union busting at its finest, right? It's the first time I seen a president in modern history go that far to protect private interests, right? That is outrageous. What's this path here? What's the programming we're talking about breaking? I can give you my perspective because this is how I was taught, and it seems like a lot of people were taught this too, starting from grade school. It's no secret that grade school and the whole structuring of that whole public education system is meant to sort of groom and indoctrinate people, get them ready for the industry floor, to be that cog in that wheel, to fall in line, to comply, to not rock the boat. Just do your part and keep your head down, keep your nose to the grindstone, and don't ask any questions, right? We know this. We know this. This is how uh, this is how corporations run a coup on our government, and here we are, 2021, right? So this programming, you go to school, you're pressured to get your good grades. It's normalized to not only spend the time that you should be learning and asking questions and discovering things, uh, taking this time and forcing you to do work during the hours in which your parents are laboring to bring home the bacon. Then they are normalizing taking your work home. They are normalizing this whole uh, disrespect of boundaries between the employer and the employee. What the heck is homework? What's the point of going to school and spending all those hours there if I still have to come home and still do tasks, right? Like, what? That's always baffled me. It's baffled a lot of people. Well, one of my best friends realized that back in high school and decided not to take the college path, right? A lot of people just decide this. I was still one of the brainwashed, right? I ended up, trying to reach that 4.0 at a 3.6, still made scholarship fund and all that stuff. But yeah, I was under that pressure to follow the script, get good grades, uh, graduate with high honors, get into a college, um, get into a college. Okay, you didn't get into a college. Okay, go find a job and then get into college and work your way through college, right? And then after that, pick a career path, something that you want to specialize in, right? And then once you've gone into this whole student loan debt trap, you get out and nothing's available in your field, or everybody's grossly underpaying for the labor, even though it took you going into debt to acquire the skills and knowledge and certifications. It's nuts, right? Myself, I have a degree in computer networking. I spent 5 years in that field, and while I was able to improve my income, the cost of that was once again taking my work home, working 60 hours a week. Uh, yeah, just no rest, no rest whatsoever. Um, and here's the thing: even with those wage increases, I seem to stay around the same sort of disposable income amount, right? And this is not for an increase in frivolous spending, anything like that. No, not at all. Not at all. Matter of fact, I'm one of those Americans who have no credit card debt. All of my debt comes from medical and, government things, child support, stuff like that, right? Student loan debt. But none of my debt is from consumer spending. I didn't have the opportunity to do that like most Americans don't. And I just plain refuse to fall into the whole credit debt trap, right? Like, I don't want to live my life on the hamster wheel, just trying to make ends meet that way, just having to be obligated to someone. I mean, if you look at it, most Americans have about 8 entities their paychecks are already reserved for when it comes down to it, right? These are your monthly bills, from insurances to utilities to, um, maintenance of things, your car, your bus pass, what have you, purchasing petrol. I mean, get it, money is a tool, guys. And yeah, just they make the tool very scarce, right? There's not enough tool to be used for us. And it's at the cost of sacrificing a lot of time that you can be improving yourself one way or another. This isn't, I'm not an advocate of hustle culture, grind culture, things of that nature. This isn't about that. Um, I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, if you understand, but we have finite time on this planet. If you are here and breathing and listening and thinking, if you're around my group, late to mid 30s to 40s, look, that maybe 30 years tops, right? And we see how quickly almost 40 years went by. It was a blink of an eye. Yeah, yeah, just let that soak in. So, according to the Wall Street Journal, uh, as of April 2021, 200,000 permanent job closures have happened here in the U.S. And we'll say loosely due to the COVID pandemic. Yeah, that's a lot of people hurting right now, right? That's a lot of people who are now out scrambling for even lower wages. Once again, I implore any of you, I challenge you, just hop on Indeed.com. Look at how many job postings have normalized an increase in hours, right? 10 hours and up, right? We know right now they are trying to go after our children once again. Um, your first teenage job used to be sort of a rite of passage. Now, our children, our teenagers are being preyed upon for the sake of greed, right? They had to push for the grandparents to go out and risk their lives as if they were soldiers in the theater of a war back in 2020. And this year, they're going after the children. So, like, once again, just kind of it seems like they want to turn back the clock on any uh, improvements we have made in working conditions for the American working class. Because if you really look at what the labor movement of the 1930s did, people fought for a lot, they died for a lot. But the only two real notable things that come out of that, like really tangible, was that 40-hour work week, right? That was a decrease in hours because most people were working 12 to 16 hours minimum. And it was the abolishment of, or the abolishing of child labor. So we weren't endangering our children, right? So we weren't cursing them to live with uh, missing limbs and, excuse me, sicknesses like black lung and things like that. And so that, we can continue the future of humanity, right? That's what it comes down to. Just while we're on this, just ladies and gentlemen, just sit here, take a deep breath, completely disregard, or excuse me, what the elephant man said. And he said, "I am not an animal. You are an animal. You're just like any other beast. You're in the classification of mammal. You're not a robot. You're not a number. You get sick. You have your problems. You have your own hopes and dreams. Remember that. Wake up for a second. Really see things for what they are. Okay. Once again, in this whole spirit of the matrix, we're going to be talking about breaking the programming. We're going to be talking about shattering the illusion of stability. We are suffering the full effects of the shift to the gig economy. What is the gig economy, you ask? Well, you know what it is. You got your gig workers are your delivery drivers, your freelancers, DoorDash, all this other stuff that's going on, right? There's been an increase in contract positions open, right? Like, hey, we need to pick up garbage in this neighborhood. We will pay you $10 an hour, but you need to own your own truck. That's gig work, right? Um, it's basically commission sales without the commission. Like, yeah, I say that jokingly because most people barely break even working this within the system, right? But the gig economy is basically, I'm gonna say, byproduct of this current consolidation of wealth and power, right? Um, that the corporations are orchestrating right now. So, with their power, with their lobbying, with their purchasing power, things like that, their power to delay justice, um, they are able to shut competition down, right? And this creates voids, but voids that the companies don't necessarily want to incur the costs of filling, right? So once again, I don't want to talk to anyone as if, stupid or anything like that, but I just really want to break down gig economy, right? So it's basically a company attempting to reap the rewards of fulfilling the void of a market. But in true corporate fashion, they don't want to put down any scratch, right? Or they want to use as much money as possible. So here we go. We have a perfect example here is the living wage right now, right? We all know that the wage that you take home per hour is way below the worth that and the value that you're bringing the company. And why is this? This is because the government requires employers to pay a tax if they are successful enough to hire more help. They project that you're going to have an increase in profit, and the government can't have that. They need their cut too. So now, a job in which you would normally charge $25 an hour for instance, right, with the third person, to still charge $25 an hour, you just break even. That person walks away with their cut, and nothing goes towards actually building the, uh, the funds for the company, the profit, whatever, what have you. To do that means that you have to take your cut and move that around, right, to make things work, which means ultimately you're taking home less, right, if you want the business to succeed. So, what corporations do, what capitalists do, is they decide, hey, I normally charge $25 an hour for this service or this product, whatever. Um, I need another person. So they hire this person. They still charge the client $25 an hour, but they only pay uh, the new worker, let's say 12 or 15, right? Therefore, the capitalist, the owner, keeps what, $10 profit now, right? That they could either, shift around however they want. That goes into their own pocket, or it can go into the operations of the business, right? But instead of that coming out of their overall bottom line, that comes out of your paycheck. And this is hidden from you, right? Plus, then you see the federal and state taxes that are withdrawn or withholden from you. And then once again, let's add the taxes that you pay for every item that you purchase, right? Whether in person or online now. Let's really look at the gig economy for what it is. It's a scam. It's a scam. It's shifting the responsibility. It's shifting all the hard work once again to the most desperate and most vulnerable out there, while the guys at the top are trying to go to space, I guess. I think that's what's in now. That's the new fad, right? So the interesting thing, though, with all these job closures, and all these voids in products and services that this consolidation has caused, I call this the gig economy's boomerang effect. Once again, they didn't account for the voids, right? So now there's products and services that are going to be hard to get, right? And I'm going to say, if you are looking for the money, it is out there for sure, right? Once again, this isn't about, like, I'm going to repeat this. This isn't about uh, hustle or grind culture, but this is about recognizing the flaw here in the gig economy, right? Um, there's an effect that these conglomerates didn't account for. And as tragic as it is that so many small businesses went under between 2020 and this year, 2021, uh, if you have had a hard time finding a job in all of this, or if there's something that you've always wanted to do, um, now is the time to pounce. You're at a crossroads at this point, right? You can participate in the gig economy in a traditional sense. Yes, you are a 1099 contractor. Yes, you have the freedom to make your schedule, all this stuff, but are you still going and applying under a service, right? Where you're being gypped out of out of your earnings, such as like Uber Eats or your DoorDash or anything like that, right? Where the subcontractor is bringing home the bacon, and you're barely able to still afford to do the job, right? I hope that makes sense. Kind of seeing, open your eyes and seeing everything for what it is. um, there's these voids. It's really hard for people to get quality employment in 2021. The wages just aren't high enough. The hours are too long. The days are too long. There's not enough time off. There's too much taking your work home. And when you realize that you have been following this system to the T, and you look at your situation now, you look at all the sacrifices you put in over the years, the past decade or so, 2 decades, 3 decades, whether it's trying to learn new skills by going to school, getting a degree, certifying in something. If you're honest with yourself, what has that done for you? Right? Like, I know, yeah, we're going to have some very gung ho culture, hustle culture guys will who would love to argue that some people aren't doing enough, but like, what what has that done for you following the conventional employment model here in the US? I know for me, it has gotten me into student loan debt. Since I have gotten my degree, I've worked longer outside of that industry, bringing home uh, less wages than having that degree in debt has promised. Um, Still living paycheck to paycheck. Actually taking more taxes now. I mean, just the list goes on and on. Everybody's scrambling to afford meat at the grocery store now. I don't think there's a soul in this country who hasn't realized how expensive things have gotten now, right? At some point, you have to take a look and start kind of questioning things, right? Once again, how many of you are working more? How many of you have more jobs? How many of you have more side gigs going? How many of you are sleep deprived? Just no matter what you do, like you cannot catch up with bills, right? And you're doing everything you're told to do, including every command from your dictator of an employer. I know I'm rambling. Where are we going here? There's another way, right? What if I reminded you there was another way? There is another way to think about this stuff, to think about how you can support yourself right here in the US. Um, it's scary, right? The programming has taught you that in order to be successful, to start a successful business, to run a successful business, to maintain a successful business, takes money, that it takes some groundbreaking, revolutionary product, a consumer product or idea, a novelty, a fad. I can tell you, I've spent decades trying to think of that groundbreaking, revolutionary invention, right? And I don't think, I don't think it'd be anybody surprised when I tell you that that hasn't happened. And I know many of you have thousands and hundreds of thousands of shower thought time in which you had to perfect product to execute and implement. And yeah, just it's never going to happen. We have all these voids. I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but customer service is probably at the worst it's ever been, right? It started with the phone self service, and you have to go to special sites to try to find a number to find to be able to talk to a human at any corporation now. Like they are going through great lengths to shield themselves from the customer base, right? Who want to complain about their uh, crappy practices. This is all caused, once again, this whole boomerang effect. So, part of breaking the programming is recognizing the flaw, the virus, the back door, right, in the programming, the loophole, what have you. Imagine, well, no, don't imagine. Like most software has some sort of flaw in it. in which you can exploit, right, to your benefit, and then you're able to manipulate that software or that system that software is on to your heart's desire, right? We often call them viruses. So think of it that way, right? You're the anomaly. You're the guy, you're the file that's not falling in line with the other files in the matrix. Um, right? This is what I'm talking about here. So the boomerang effect here. This is that door. This is that back door. This is what you're going to exploit here, right? This is that shift from being the computer user to the computer network administrator or the programmer, right? Now you know where you should start directing your efforts and researching your tips and tricks. The next thing to do here, as far as, and once again, this is going to be, we're going to cover all this. This is just all broad, sort of bird's eye view here. But the next thing that we're going to look at in breaking the programming is overcoming the illusion of stability that conventional employment facilitates, right? I brought this up a little earlier, right? There's the, I'm using air quotes here, stability of income every 2 weeks, at bi-weekly, or every week, or the first and the 15th, or the 15th and the 30th, I get that paycheck signed by whoever with that bank's logo on it, whoever it is. It's probably Wells Fargo for the majority of you. All right, you go in, you punch in your employee number or sign into your computer. With anything and everything that job wants you to do, you are saying, yes, I will do. And as long as you continue to write me this check on time as expected, right? But what happens when they don't write you that check? Again, recently I had this happen. It's not the first time I've been screwed over by an employer in a fashion in which I didn't get paid my full um, time or the labor. But this was the most egregious, in which there were easy solutions, and they just, no, we're going to pay you in 2 weeks, deal with it, right? Which, once again, no concern about my ability to commute to the place to perform the labor which they hired me to do, right? Not even, don't, might as well not even been an employee there. So, once again, how stable is conventional employment anyway, right? Most states in the US have this at will termination policy, right? If you're in California, Texas for sure. This means for any reason, your employer can get rid of you. It could be because they've, used you for, whatever they needed you for, which that has happened in my case. Or, I mean, what have you. They just don't like you. You rock the boat too much. Whatever. You can be let go from a job for any reason without the ability to collect your unemployment, right? It is this is part of this system here. This is part of this stability you are signing up for, that you are agreeing to when you decide to go put on a suit, go online and give somebody your information, where you live, your social security number. You allow them to do a background check on you, and you just give up all of your privacy and a time of your day that you probably don't want to, just because every other Friday for sure you think that direct deposit is going to show up, right? But no, it doesn't happen all the time. There's so many wage claims in in our state systems right now, right? State and federally, that are just being held up, right? So yeah, stability, there's never been any, right? There's never been any. In most corporations, I mean, they find the smallest infractions, right? There is no there is no stability in the modern employment culture, right? There's just, for sure, there's no loyalty to people anymore. So you really have to start looking at that, right? And I mean, look at stability in other ways. What happens when the employer decides to cut staff, right? And now maybe you had a stable routine, which was maybe 2 disposable hours of your day after your commute to and from work. And now you have to work longer, right? Or now you have to work more days. Um, that that's not stable either. That's very unstable. Now your sleep schedule's thrown off, your eating schedule's thrown off, your social life, whatever it is, whatever you do to keep yourself grounded and balanced to cope with all of this, all of that is thrown off tilt, right? There's so many factors of our modern labor system we don't consider, right? Like heck, most people totally forget to even include their commute as part of their workday, and it is absolutely a necessary part, right? Um, Especially if you're in tech. Um, and this is not just Silicon Valley. This is anywhere here, especially in the U.S. If you're working at a tech gig and you're making anywhere over $20 an hour, more than likely you were driving a mile for every dollar you were earning an hour, right? So you're probably driving out 20 miles minimum. There were days, there were jobs I had when I was driving 80 miles a day, right? Just to get that $26 an hour and to go home to work once again. It's a never ending cycle, right? Like I can honestly just keep looping back to that all session, but I'm not going to. Be honest, you're going to hear a lot of that if you keep listening to me. But yeah, just that there's no stability. Just look at it for what it is. There's no stability. There has never been stability. Stability. The final nail was put in stability's coffin in the 1980s during the Reagan administration. Okay, so realize, along with this whole illusion of stability, once again, you're agreeing to being robbed. You're being how are you being robbed? Well, profit is robbery. Once again, if you are an employee, not someone in a cooperative, if you are an employee here in the US and you are selling your time for a paycheck, right? Or taking an hourly wage at one place of employment to fulfill their mission to grow their profit. What you net, what you take home, what you actually get in your bank account, what you actually get to put in your wallet is far below what you actually earned for that day's work, for that hour's work, right? I explained this a little earlier. You are doing $25 an hour worth of, or you're providing $25 an hour worth of value to your employer, but they only decide to pay you $12 an hour, right? That's theft. Did you agree to that? Did you say, I am willingly giving you a percentage of my paycheck so that you can operate your business expenses? Or do they just take that from you and say, here, this is the wage? They're not going to tell you there's what, what thief worth his salt is going to tell you that they're stealing from you. No, the whole key is to not get caught, right? Then you add the other tactics such as the shaving the salami, which is, shaving your hours. And we will get into all that in the future as well, right? So this whole system, this whole illusion of stability is meant to facilitate, right? Like the Matrix, you're that battery, right? You're that human battery that's being fed upon. They're telling you, get this new iPhone. It's in purple now. Ooh, purple, the most groundbreaking thing since sliced bread. No, no, no. Come on now. So you're being robbed every day. Every day you go and clock in, you are being robbed. They are taking money from you that you did not agree to sacrifice. so that they can fill their pockets, right? You're being exploited. How are you being exploited? Well, they know that you're kind of desperate to pay your bills, right? They know that you have to eat. They know that you want to keep your health up. So they could give you what you're worth. Nah. And you need this. What you need whatever you can get. So they're offering take it or leave it, right? And most of us have to take it. Most Walmart employees don't want to be at Walmart. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. So that's how you're being exploited, right? And once again, they're exploiting you by making you do things like um, take it the brunt of the feedback and criticisms and complaints and anger and fury of customers who are angry at the corporations for their anti customer business practices, right? A lot of customers know they are not being treated right for the money that they are shelling out to these companies. And once again, you can't reach anybody in corporate. Those lines are mysterious and invisible now, right? That I mean, that it's terrible. There are sites that you have to go to try to find a way to get to like a human in any of these corporations. It's terrible, but this is where we are now. And once again, this is sort of what the metaverse is all about. Just sort of just kind of re re-edifying this whole protection, this whole digital illusion, this protection, this separation from the masses, right? Because if you don't know who's in charge, you don't know who to go after, right? It's just another way to just entrench this system even more. So, yeah, you're being exploited that way, right? You have to become people's emotional support. I'm talking about customers here. You have to be their therapist. Yeah, you're a punching bag. You have to be verbally and physically abused on a daily basis. Um, we've seen very consistently within the past like 4 or 5 years, especially at the Home Depot, black employees who were mistreated by customers defended themselves and then were fired only to make the news and then be offered their jobs back. I'm sorry, but no, thank you. I wouldn't go back to a place like that, right? Who would just fire you for a civil rights violation committed on you, right? So, um, that's how you're being exploited. You're also being extorted. So, how are you being extorted? Doesn't extortion imply some sort of violence, coercion? Yes. Every day you go clock in. During your orientation, your name's at the bottom of all of this paperwork here. So, where's the extortion? Occurrences, write ups, um, demerits, things of that nature, right? Pay decreases, demotions. I mean, just at will termination. At will termination is one. Is the is the sword, right, dangling overhead, right? It's the reason why most Americans just put up with the conditions our employers uh, feel they can dish upon us, right? That oh, if I say something, if I complain, if I talk about my wages here with my coworkers, they are gonna give me that pink slip, right? That's extortion. You're being coerced through being stripped of your ability to survive through the tools that this system has made necessary, right? This money system. Um, Extortion, like, right? Your employer is literally in charge of your life, right? They can decide whether you live or die depending on what sort of health conditions or situations you run into, sort of accidents. And what am I talking about? Yes, healthcare. That should be no surprise. So, extortion, yeah, I think so. If you want to look up the dictionary definition of it, yes. And So all of this, once again, ladies and gentlemen, and you know this, right? This isn't groundbreaking news for anyone. It's not. This is the American way. So, here we are, right? At this crossroads. You are Neo sitting in the chair in the desert of the real, and Morpheus is offering him the red pill, the blue pill. Take the blue pill, keep following the path, keep listening, or excuse me, keep sticking to the script. Go to school, get good grades, do your homework, go into college debt, get a degree, climb the corporate ladder. Do you know how many people who made CEO, CFO, COO, directors, uh, what have you? Do you know how many of those people in 2000 have not recovered from the crash of 2008? Do you know how many of those people are still not CEOs and CFOs and COOs and what have you, all those big titles making all this egregious amounts of money, right? Do you know how many people who proudly held those titles, followed that script, have not recovered from 2008? And then to have that crash happen again on a worse scale, a greater scale, you can go back to that, right? Or you can take the red pill and realize there's another way. There's always been another way. You knew it, but you forgot. When we went over that part in school, you zoned out. I don't know, maybe that knowing the state of education in the US, some of you just probably didn't learn that there were times in human history where people took skills that they learned and acquired and were good at and offered services to people, right? You have blacksmiths and cobblers and painters and sculptors and chefs and I mean what have you, bakers. Maybe you just made chocolates. Maybe you clean really well. You just you get where I'm going here, right? It's time to break the programming from the script of the American dream. We need to go ahead and scramble all that code up there, right? It's not working. It hasn't worked, not for you at least. It's working for the matrix. It's working for the architects of that system. For you, once again, it's hard to get over that visual of all the humans in those pods just being drained of energy by the machines, right? Like this is literally what is happening to the working class and it has been happening since the 80s, right? So there's another way. If you continue to follow this series, you decided to take the red pill, and we are looking to explore what that means. If you can recall, what happens when Neo wakes up in the real world? First, he goes through these whole biological processes, sort of rebirth, and freaks out, right? Like, no, this can't be it. So there's going to be a lot of fear and anxiety once you really come to grasp with what what's going on here in the U.S. with the labor market, with the economy, with the global market, um, how so much of our production and means of production have been outsourced to places not physically on this continent, to people who do not reside here for a quick buck, which means as a pandemic moves through the globe and people start getting sick and dying, plus corporate coups of government and economy, um, that's a lot to tackle. That's a lot to ingest. It's a lot to accept. I don't even think I have to say any more about that. However, most of the American working class live with these fears and anxieties and stresses anyway, with just trying to survive, uh, to make ends meet, right? So, taking the red pill isn't necessarily about learning something new, waking up to something that needs to be discovered. It's about relearning what you already know, right? This is about taking a look at yourself, reassessing yourself and your skills and your history, and building confidence in yourself, right? The red pill is a placebo, right? It's meant to incite all kinds of things within you so that you can shift your thinking a little and maybe actually have a fighting chance here in the US. So we all know this system is tailored to the business owner. Right. I'm not saying everybody run out there and start your business and everybody run out there and start online marketing. No, 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 no. Yes, I mean, this is about taking your power back. You go and support yourself in any way you know how. And this is what this is about, right? I'm not necessarily here to put specifics. Once again, this isn't a guru type situation, but this is about exploring some ideas because something that just recently come to light within the past year, in my household. And I look at somebody I know that's been living off of like $11 an hour for the past 7 years off of one employer. They just got a raise to 15, but like you've accepted that for that long, like you still have to go out and do the work and drive and whatnot. So but you know it amazes me how many people just stick to the script and they're fine with that, playing their part in the code. Now this is about just remembering what you're capable of, right? About just shifting your focus from the rat race and keeping up with the Joneses to okay, yeah, I'm a human, I'm an individual, I'm not a cog in the wheel. Like, oh my God, I have hopes and dreams and abilities, and I want to put those on display to make this world a better place. This is what I'm talking about. So, before we move a little further here, we're about to move to our conclusion of the session, but I do want to go ahead and once again thank all of those who have subscribed on Patreon. Maggie G, thank you so much. I want to thank those who have subscribed on YouTube and Anchor and Spotify as well. If you do enjoy these sessions, if they do incite any questions or, like I said, just another mode of thinking for you, um, shoot by. Shoot by YouTube in the comment section. You can reach me on Twitter. You can reach me on Patreon as a subscriber. Just leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Uh, Feedback is feedback. So I'll leave it at that. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. All right. So, what are we talking about? Once again, we are talking about breaking the programming. What programming are we talking about? Breaking the programming of the American dream, following the, the path of the blueprint of the nuclear family. Go to school, get good grades, go to college, get into college debt, get a good job, climb the corporate ladder, die. But on the way, buy, 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 right? So we're talking about breaking that programming. We're talking about thinking of ways to support yourself that does not follow that path, right? We're talking about taking things into your own hands, realizing what skills, abilities you have, what knowledge you have, and trying to get over the fear of the illusion breaking, getting over the fear of waking up in the desert of the real after taking the red pill, right? And learning how to navigate this world, right? Because once you see U.S. and global economy for what it is, it's kind of hard to go back, right? It just is. Have I taken the red pill? Obviously, I'm talking about it. The household has taken the red pill. Um, Now what does this mean? Uh, for you, the listener, not much. For the supporter, not much. I will try to chronicle the experience of moving into business ownership. But not in this guru hustle culture, rise and grind sort of influencer sort of, light, right? This is about a household who took a look at our finances and we were pushed to this point. There's a saying that desperation breeds innovation. No, we did not come up with some grand, groundbreaking, hot idea. No, it pushed us towards innovating the way we think about supporting ourselves, right? Because obviously, following the script of the Matrix here, it hasn't been working. And once you take a look at the programming, you realize, okay, once you take a look at that code, it's not meant to work for you, right? So you don't have to follow that, right? Like, once again, this whole money, capitalism, economics, they're not a fact of nature. They are a tool created for societies. Um, you don't have to follow all of that, right? There's no need to. The people that we look up to the most figured this out very early, and for the most part, we call them celebrity, right? Yeah, just I hope it's not too much of an annoyance to follow me and the missus on that path. But once again, this is about working class power, and what's more working class than supporting yourself and your family, right? Whether you're a blacksmith, a cobbler, or sword maker, an accountant, a pro bono or a lawyer. Well, not pro bono, can't make money that way. A house cleaner, a baker, a seamstress, a handyman. Once again, we all have skills that you have acquired during your years of employment with different establishments. And we often tend to undercut those skills, underrate them. A lot of it, most of it doesn't even seem to go on our resumes. And I say about 98% of it doesn't even get mentioned during the interviews, right? Like, if you really sit down and analyze your life. Uh, so, yeah, if you're like 99% of Americans here, yeah, what are your next steps here? Look at the finances. Look at, can you make your current production efforts, your current routine, your current employment routine or dependency, is there any way to make that reconcile with the quality of life that is tangible right now, right? Not one that you're dreaming for to save it for the future, but can you reconcile your quality of life to what you're doing for an employer right now? And for most of you, that answer is no, right? It almost feels like life is gaslighting you if you want to try to make that work somehow, right? So, um, why did I take the red pill? I looked at finances, and we saw how much in debt we are. And this is the rat race. This is the definition of the rat race. This is why we have credit scores, right? This is what they're looking for. People who are willing to live in perpetual debt until you die, right? Like, you're okay with this. You're just going to keep acquiring more debt to pay off debt, to acquire more debt to pay off debt, right? Everyone with a mortgage and a car or two knows this, right? You, you know this, right? Your home went from a dream to, oh my, I have to do everything I can to keep this. Okay. That's not a dream. That's a nightmare. Okay. So another reason why take the red pill? Well, we had an admission that things needed to change in order to get out of the debt trap. We could not continue to do the same, make the same actions and money moves, right? And when I say money moves, right, once again, this is just paying bills, right? Deciding what bills to pay over others. You know, that whole uh, that whole song and dance there. Um, and then we sat down and we reflected on current and past production for employers versus current and past pay for that production for those employers, right? How many hours have you already put into helping someone else profit off of your work to fulfill their mission, right? Um, versus how were you compensated? Did helping them fulfill their dream of profit help fulfill your need to pay the rent and to put food in your stomach? Or did you have to find other ways to supplement that, right? And then we looked at the numbers. So, once again, when you go and ask for employment, when you tell someone, hey, I'm going to accept a bi weekly check if I come and clock in 40 to 60 hours a week, um, we looked at the numbers. Even at my highest, right, $26 an hour, this was in California. Um, it wasn't much of a, just I had to pay with that in time. I had a lot of 3-day weekends, and in which I all weekend, by the way, all 72 hours, slept in 15-minute increments because I had to keep remote servers from falling asleep while the email or file transfer was happening, right? Plus, couple that to the regular on-call schedule. Let's couple that with the regular extra 20 hours a week that went into the job from my dining room table to run updates on a cloud hosting network, right? Um, it just wasn't worth it. Take out a sheet of paper, pull out your resume, just kind of reflect back on how often you were denied raises in your wage or promotions, and then look at what you can ask by deciding to take things into your own hands, right? By providing a service or product yourself. Talent is skill. Um, you can easily ask, at minimum, what's considered to be a minimum living wage right now, $25 an hour. And this goes for anything. And for whatever you do choose, if you do choose anything, um, remember, don't undercut yourself, but I say $25 an hour. It took me years of schooling, getting a degree, sacrificing a lot of my time in school and overtime over 3 to 5 years in IT before I was able to ask for that much money and get it. Right. So understand, like, $25 an hour is nothing to sniff at. If you want to just try your hand at not not trading your life for a paycheck, And, once again, I do want to reiterate, this isn't about getting into the whole rise and grind, hustle culture thing. No, 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 no. Please write me. Please email me, send somebody to slap me if I ever go down that road. Okay, this isn't about that. This is about grown adults in the US trying to support themselves financially because a typical traditional employment, does not provide the stability it used to 50 years ago, plain and simple. So look at the numbers, what you have to accept, and really look at this, what you have to accept by asking for employment versus what you can ask or demand, right? By providing a service or, a product or something yourself. Okay. So, uh, also, just really taking this step, um, once again, follow your gut, but it took a lot of deliberation, a lot of compromise and trust, say, with my partner. And as an individual, and when I say partner, I mean that's whoever your business partner is going to be. That is your spouse, significant other, whoever makes the financial decisions with you. That is your support system, your family, friends, etc., etc. Whoever that is to you, right? When I say uh, partnership, um, and using trust in that context. And also, once again, just look, what have you already done professionally for so many corporations, right? Like, perfect example for me, 2 years into IT, moving from my first tech company to the second one, who happened to be a leading uh, entity and especially the CPA and accounting software market. They decided that they wanted to go into cloud hosting too. A service they wanted to provide was email migration, which is basically whoever this business was using to handle their email services. I had to direct that to our servers, right, to our business. The network administrator didn't even know how to do this. I was tasked with figuring this out because my last employer offered this service and I did it once or twice. But I was basically tasked with figuring out this service, which costs hundreds upon hundreds of dollars and makes this company so much money and is an integral business practice of this cloud hosting company. I had to figure out this process, create the SOP and training manuals so that any new hire could come in and do the process. And after a year of its success, this was literally between 2014 and 2015. There you go. I was let go. No infraction, no reason why. They didn't say I did anything wrong. It was nothing of that nature. They didn't even have like a real like paper filled out. There was sort of like an exit interview paper, but they had no comment, right? It was just basically, hey, thank you for your work and good luck out there. That was it. Um, I wanted to ask some questions, but realized, at that point it was kind of futile. Because if you did something wrong, I figure corporation's going to tell you you're doing something wrong. So, what have you done professionally? And it doesn't have to be something extravagant like that. Just, you know, did you learn how to organize the back room? Do you have did you have to teach people inventory audits? Like whatever. Are you a seamstress? I have a friend who I met in the Home Depot who started a secondhand washer and dryer sales and repair business. And literally over the past calendar year, he's gone from having to rely full time on the Home Depot employment to netting $3,000 a month easily and consistently. And I just recently talked to him about a month ago, and he told me that he was finally going part time with the Home Depot, and he was thriving off of the uh, washer dryer sales and repair, right? And did this. He started doing this with a van. He rented, he leased out, and there you go, right? He's set. Especially during a global pandemic where production of appliances such as washers and dryers are hard to come by. And if you can find them, the prices have been jacked up so high, right? So once again, these are just ideas to throw at you. Once again, I am not your guru. Um, this is nothing of that nature. This is just a working class guy, father of three, Navy vet. Um, someone who's just working class American for the past 20 years now. And so I just want to not open. I don't, this isn't even opening your eyes. I just want to remind you all out there that there is another way, and we're going to look at breaking the programming here in this series. And here's the thing, right? There's never a right time. Whatever you do, just remember you're not looking for glitz, glam, and glory. It's not going to be glamorous. It may be cleaning toilets, you know? Um, but if you can ask $25 an hour for cleaning toilets, isn't that better than putting 60 hours of time doing, taking, whatever, 150, 200 calls a day with clients and cold calling and only working off a commission? So remember to, in whatever your endeavor is, to ask what you're worth. So, you figure that out with your craft, or you can just, go off of what, economists have considered to be or determined to be the lowest minimum wage to survive here. That's $25 an hour. Great starting point. That's more than I can ever ask for going to Walmart, Target, Home Depot, anywhere. You can too. We're also going to talk about just learning discipline, right? If you're going to break the routine of setting your alarm to be somewhere where your employer has obligated you to be at whatever shifting time or whatever shifting day that is, you're going to have to take care of your schedule, make sure you're going to sleep at a decent time, waking up at a decent time, but is going to be the time you decide. Beautiful. But you're going to have to learn to, when it's time to work, right? Like your success is going to be on you, not whether the company made profits that quarter. And then, excuse me, just remember to choose a valued service, right? What do you think is going to sustain you more? Painting over canvas shoes and trying to sell those on Etsy, or like I said, computer repair, house cleaning, meal prep, um, a handyman service, things of that nature. Like, what do you think is going to sustain you more? Once again, we're not focusing on glamorous. We're focusing on sustaining your life and creating a better quality of life, right? So you want to look for things that can go away if all consumer leisure products disappear, right? Like, what's necessary for society to function and for households to function. Um, so a lot of rambling here. Once again, yes, this was your Tangent King, but this was just a intro into a new series that we're going to touch on here from time to time called Breaking the Programming. And it's about just shifting your mindset from continuing to follow the traditional American dream, the modern industrial or tech driven uh, employment landscape, and realizing that if you want to take back working class power, it's not going to be with the labor unions and big protests and things like that, right? Those aren't coming to fruition the way we hope that they would. All power to them, and let's keep them going, right? Once again, this is not discounting any of those efforts, but understand the change you want needs to start with you. And I think that's saying that there's not a truer saying out there, right? That falls back in line with the golden rule and such. Be the change that you want to see, all that good stuff. And not to rip off of any other leftist lefty independent personalities out there, right? But this is just the truth. So take the red pill, uh, remove the rose-colored glasses, get rid of your gurus and your celebrities, and just realize that once again, the people you look up to the most decided not to follow the system, right? That's what drew you to them, right? They inspired you. You often look to them on YouTube and on memes for quotes and things to motivate you to finally go and live your dream. Well, they may not tell you their dream in the beginning was mowing lawn, or excuse me, that what they had to do to get there in the beginning was mowing lawns, but it still sustains them. And once again, you're looking up to them, right? You're hoping they have some answers. So I implore you, take your power back. Welcome to the desert of the real. This is a very scary and fear-inducing place, but I'm hoping that along with you, that we can navigate this landscape together. And I just want to once again wish everyone a happy holidays. Have a happy celebration for whatever winter religious what have you do. Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, all that good stuff. Um, Festivus. But enjoy the holidays. Have a safe New Year as well. Once again, with all the stress, with all the loved ones we have lost, just remember to celebrate. Take a deep breath, relax. Just try to enjoy the little time that we do get to spend with our family, because for the next 10 coming months is going to be very far and few between those moments in which we can connect. So I want to thank you all for listening in. For those of you new to the proletariat, thank you, and I hope you come back again. And once again, hit me up in the Discord server. I'll let you know when I am there to interact. Go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe on anchor.fm. Go ahead and subscribe on Spotify. And if you are feel so inclined and have the ability, I appreciate any support on Patreon. That's what's going to help bring improvements in the quality of the show, and make recording more frequent there. So once again, I apologize for the brief hiatus. This is the Dean, and I am wishing you peace, love, and solidarity this holiday season 2021. Have a good one.
Nighty night, company man.